Hello everyone, I am Joe, aka Eldritch Omen.
I like the sound of that.
And I am Bill, aka Lost Star Wars.
The Force is strong in this one.
We are the Trade Federation, the only podcast so far, that might be changing soon, dedicated to Topps Star Wars card trader.
Now we're on RetroZap.com. Make sure you go check them out. I would say this week you should go check out the Collector's Hut. That is their video of Chris, who is an amazing Star Wars collector. His collection is just insane. Tons of masks and custom stuff, and he's got every single 8x10 signed. He goes to all the conventions. The guy is a Star Wars animal. And hey, Chris, I just want to say, what's up?
Awesome. So this week we have a very special guest, another one, 2 in a row. Why don't you introduce yourself there, my friend?
Hey guys, my name is Luke. I am Trogdor31 in app.
A little short for a stormtrooper.
I'm very happy to be here on the show with you two.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. You will know Luke from the sweet theme song you just heard. We popped it on there first last week, but it came late, so we didn't get to mention it. I wanted to make sure to tell you on air. Amazing. I mean, that thing is incredible.
Oh, thank you. And I have to say, it's kind of surreal for, just as a fan listening to the first couple podcasts, and then all of a sudden, start playing the new podcast and hear your voice coming out of the headphones was kind of strange, but I'm really glad that you all liked it, and I was really happy to do it.
Yeah, I would say that this song, of all the things that have been mentioned about last week's episode, and Open Window Time was amazing, I would say that equally as much attention was given to your song as to Open Window Time. It was just a ton of awesome just response to that song. Great work. Thank you very much for coming up with that for us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. The response on Reddit was really cool to see as well. Yeah, that was super fun.
Now, we had a bunch of things we wanted to get into, but that was interrupted by the fact that I checked the transmission just minutes ago, and they have just started with the new posters series. So, Bill, you want to talk a little bit about this? And then, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to crack some packs on air and share my excitement if I pull one of these things.
Yeah, I'm going to read it aloud right now. The evolution of Star Wars art is best represented by our newest set, one of the most anticipated yet, posters. And I would agree, that is one of the most anticipated, and I've been talking about this for months now. And it says, whether it's coming to your galaxy this summer or one of the many amazing non-theatrical original art posters, every Star Wars fan has their favorites. Take a trip through time and around the world with the essential and the underappreciated posters from the Star Wars universe. So we have 5 variants across posters, packs, and bundles. So we have a green and red, the normal limited print inserts available in the posters and posters master pack. The blue variant available for 48 hours in the posters and posters master pack. The white is available for 2 hours, 2 drops for 1 hour each in the flash pack, and a gold frame variant with any 900,000 credit bundle. That's a $100 bundle. So this is a ton of different variants here, and I don't totally. So we have blue and green in the regular packs. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, that seems to be. And the blue is a 48-hour window, but it doesn't look like there's a limited printing on those.
Oh, okay. Right. So green and red, those are the 2 regulars. And then gold is the bundle.
Guys, I just pulled it.
You pulled it?
You pulled it?
Yeah, first pack. Wow.
All right, I'm opening a pack.
Excellent. I want to say right here, Impensis08, he's the first comment on the transmission for me, and he's got the little Reddit logo there, pulled a white poster. So if you're listening to the show, hey, I see your comment on there. He's trying to trade it. I'm going to start pulling some of my own here.
And I got to say, I mean, I kind of echo your thoughts here when you said that you've been waiting for these. I mean, a poster series is one of those things that I just knew if that came out, I was going to go crazy over. And, I think the design, at least for now, looks like they really pulled it off well.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull one here. I haven't pulled one yet.
Yeah, it's
what I
love is it's so clean. It's a very, very clean card, which I think my main criticism with some of their cards have been that they're kind of muddled or messy looking, like the Luminaries especially.
Yeah.
I'm going to end up having to go grab one of my other things to try and pull this probably if I don't pull it in the next minute or two.
Yeah, this is one of the few cards that I absolutely have to have these.
Yeah,
they're going to be in really high demand.
I don't know how to look it up in the all cards here. I just want to see what it looks like up close. Poster. There they are. Oh yeah, with frames, mats. Those are pretty cool. They're a little. Okay, yeah, no, they look better close up. I was gonna say it looked kind of grainy, but so the blue and the red are the ones in the regular packs, and the red is 500 count. So I'm hoping for a red. I'm gonna pull a couple more packs here.
So
you guys want to talk amongst yourselves real quick? I'm gonna go grab another device. I'll be right back.
The blue though does not have a card count to it, does it? So we could be looking at huge numbers here.
Oh right. So yeah, let me go back here.
Yeah, I mean we're going to be looking at probably higher than the first Han card art, I would imagine.
Have you seen how high the Red Squadron, the first Red Squadron is? It's like 20K.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean I think that really we're gaining people every day, and it's only going to get more and more.
Yeah. I still haven't pulled it yet. I might stop. I don't want to spend too many credits. I can always trade for it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I got the blue. Okay, I got a blue.
I'm honestly thinking about trading trading the one I just pulled. Just
That's one of my main strategies is to pull an insert and put it in the feed and get the inflated day of value. I do it every day pretty much. I was actually just on Reddit kind of going back and forth about, am I being greedy? I'm kind of being accused of being greedy for asking for more on the day of an insert. And I don't ever offer one-to-one trades. I don't offer an unsolicited trade. I just offer what I think I want, what I think I could potentially get in the fan feed. And someone sends it to me and I accept. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm being accused of being greedy there because last week, these week 11s, 3 times I pulled one like immediately, and I offered it, and I said I'm trading my wide vision funeral for two of the Han Leia connections, and I got it like right away, immediately. I know I could have gotten that offer a bunch of times. A lot of it has to do with the fact that people are going to pull multiple connections and not pull that wide vision that day because the connections are still in pack. So they're sitting there with 3 connections and no wide vision. They're thinking to themselves, well, I want a wide vision really bad. I don't care. I'll trade my 2 connections. And to them, it's a good deal. Yep. So I'm starting to get a little bit of flack for some of the offers I do in the fan feed. But, it's definitely, you can get more for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of how the game is now, and I don't know that I necessarily like it, but I know that, if I want an insert right after it comes out, I'm going to have to overpay. So when I pull an insert that comes out, especially if it's not one that I want to hold on to, I'm not going to give it up too terribly easy.
Yeah.
I wanna interrupt you guys for just a second. Now I've blown through a bunch of these poster packs, used up all my credits. I did not pull one, but here is something very interesting. Is that I did pull today's vintage.
Wow.
In the poster pack?
In the poster pack, yeah.
Whoa. I might open a few more.
So I did not expect that to happen, and I don't know why it did. Wow. But I'm not going to cry about it right now.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's probably that would have to be an oversight, right?
Yeah, that's some kind of I don't know. That's crazy.
Don't take it away. If you're listening.
I've heard about that before. I wonder. Yeah, I mean that's going to affect. So that's going to affect whether if they're in there, right, and people are going to be pulling those things, they're going to go faster than they normally would have. Because, usually I think the people kind of they slow down on the FET packs, and then they're still lingering around on Friday. Last Friday I pulled a second or a third FET during the Friday pulls. I think I pulled like the one of the very last ones. I saw the number and I just opened a few more packs and got it. But if it's in there and it stays in there, I bet you that it won't be in there tomorrow when we're opening connections.
Yeah, that's a very bizarre thing. I was pretty excited for the posters, but pulling the vintage, wow, cool.
Trade it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It's already almost up to 800.
They're moving
Whoa.
quick.
This is going to skyrocket.
Is the red sold out yet?
I do not know.
I still can't get into the feed to try and trade it right now, which is something we're going to touch on here shortly. Anything else we want to mention about posters and our excitement before we move on to talking about some awards?
Yeah, let me just quickly mention what my original thought. I had this awesome thought of what posters could have been, and it seems like they're doing something fairly similar. They're at least doing the different frames. But my original, I don't know, hope for posters would have been to run it like Knight Brothers, right? Have 3 cards, have 3 different posters, 3 variants of pretty limited runs, similar to the Knight Brothers. Maybe it would be like this is 2,500, 500, and then 100 or something. Have the different variants be on different frames, very similar to this. The mats are different. And then, so you would have the first one be the classic, I forget the artist's name, but the classic New Hope poster. The second one would be the classic Empire Strikes Back poster. And the third one would be the Return of the Jedi. And if they were strategic enough to time it with the public reveal of that same artist's version of the Force Awakens poster and had that as the award, I thought that would have just been amazing. But this kind of fits in a little bit. I like this a lot. I love this picture, this old school artwork kind of picture.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. In fact, it might be it might be too early to call it my new favorite one, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So anyway, that was exciting. We should do more stuff like that every week. I remember earlier we had an idea where maybe we would try and record during Vintage Thursday Madness and just both open a bunch of packs and see if we could pull it. But this was better because I'm never wasting money trying to pull a 1 in 90 in Boba Fett packs for the rest of my life.
I got it in like 9 packs today. I was shocked.
Hey, I got that beat. I got it in like 6 poster packs.
Yeah,
so.
Yes you do.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the award cards for the first 10 or first 10-week sets of marathons. I thought maybe we could sort of rank them. I think that for the most part they're good, better than I expected. How do you guys feel about it?
I agree. I just went for Bounty and Galactic Moments, and I was pretty happy with both of those. I was kind of hoping that they would go for a theme with Galactic Moments where maybe they made episode 4 the first award and then so on and so forth. But that's okay. I really like the video game. I hope to see more stuff like that, to be honest.
If you think about Galactic Moments, that was May 25th that came out, and they released the week 11 and they released the award, and neither one of those two was May 25th, 1977, which was the premiere of A New Hope. I was totally convinced one of those two things, particularly I thought it would be the award, but I was totally convinced it would be A New Hope.
Would have made a lot of sense.
But that video game is pretty sweet. Even though it, everybody's calling them out on, it's the Nintendo game or the Atari game and the arcade picture. I think that picture is awesome. I think it's just a great thing, and I see it as they're celebrating the start of video games, but the visual is a game that we all remember seeing in the arcade. It's the one that we remember.
And the important thing there is, I don't know if you had known about it yourself, Bill, but I sent Bill a picture of Empire Strikes Back for Atari because I remember playing it at my grandparents' house. We found like an Atari and a bunch of games at a garage sale or something. Of course, it had Empire Strikes Back. That game looks like utter garbage. It would be the ugliest card you've ever seen if they used a picture of that.
Yes, it does. It looks bad.
So they made the right choice, and that's such a cool idea. Just the fact that they're even tapping into that stuff, and with the week 11 being the heir to the Empire thing, Galactic Moments is really, I think, becoming one of the cooler marathons.
Yeah, it looks great, and it's got a story to it. And I've said this before. I love the sets that have a story to them. I'm a big Connections fan, and yeah, it's a great set.
So if we were gonna rank them, and we'll talk a little bit about them as we go, what would you guys say is your least favorite of the award for the marathons? Mine is Top's Choice, because it's just a crummy variant with a different border color.
I'd probably agree with that, yeah. I mean, all the other awards had some kind of excitement. The Han, maybe not so much for Bounty, but it's still, it was a new card, whereas Porkins was, just a gold Porkins.
Somebody mentioned that they were disappointed. I can't remember who it was, and it made a lot of sense, and I kind of agree. They were disappointed that the awards didn't have a little bit of a variation so that it looked like the set but had maybe a different color to it or something, and it kind of made it look more like an award and not just another one in the set.
I actually thought that was going to happen. I honestly thought that, for example, with the Bounty, they would have like the blue hologram background but turn it a little green or something like that just to differentiate it a little bit.
They did it with the fan choice.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't change it a little bit, but having Han Solo on there was such a huge win, I thought, that it didn't bother me too much that they didn't, mess around with the formula or whatever.
Yeah, that was such a great, obvious choice. I like that one. So my favorite is easily Vintage Death Star. To me, it's the next best looking card since the Vintage X-Wing, which is pretty much my favorite card in the game. I know it's not as rare or as sought after as some of the other ones, although it's gaining pretty fast right now. But that I love that card. It stands out so much more, and it looks good, both fully zoomed out and in a little zoom in picture compared to almost every other Vintage that they don't look that great. And I think the Death Star has that. It fits in, and I really want them to do that. There's a card that was the Millennium Falcon flying through space or something like that looks very much like these two as well. And I think that would be awesome if they did that.
Yeah, and I think if we're still going on awards, the Shred Award, I didn't collect the Shred set, but it was one of the few cards that I kind of went out of my way to trade for, was the Millennium Falcon Shred Award, just because it looks so cool.
Yeah, it does.
I can't believe anybody put that whole set together and then turned around and wanted to trade the award away.
Yeah, you would think that that wouldn't occur, but yeah, some people are very willing to give those away, and it's one of the few cards that I just kind of look at and I want it just for the aesthetic value. It just looks really, really good, and that's what's exciting about the movie poster is, there haven't been too many cards that I have needed in my collection just because I really, really like the look. So I'm excited about that.
I think I would probably agree that the Vintage is probably the best looking one, although, as we said, I have a big soft spot for the first video game one for GM.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, and I like the fact that for the GM, there's the potential for more like that. And that's kind of the exciting part for me is every week when I go for the new GM, you don't really know what it's going to be. Whereas with Bounty or Top's Choice, something like that, you kind of know what you're getting beforehand to a certain extent.
Yeah, I like to be surprised a little bit. A lot of them are just like, the Vintage can be a surprise, GM can be a surprise, Connections is always just going to be two pictures of people or whatever. The Bounty is just going to be another holographic Bounty poster, but those ones are pretty exciting. I used to like Top's Choice a lot until I traded away the first three guys for next to nothing. I've talked about that enough on here. I'm not going to dwell on it anymore.
You can revel in the fact that they just did a variant for those guys.
I know. That actually makes me a little happier because there came a point where I was going to have to try. I think somebody was offering me the opportunity to get rid of a lot of my good Bounty stuff and GM stuff and buy into Top's Choice. And I feel vindicated that I did not do that. So, as far as the award stuff, is there anything else you guys want to mention before we move on to other more frustrating topics.
Yeah, let me mention real quick. A lot of people have been wanting me to ask me where I got my black and white Hyperspace Wide Vision award card, and there was a problem with the Topps Choice award card. So I'll go through it real quick. Basically, when they released the Topps Choice award card, it went out to the people who had received the Wide Vision award, and then they yanked the Topps Choice award back from those people and gave it to the rightful winners of that award. And to compensate people for getting a card taken away from them, even though they didn't really earn it or whatever, they gave them the alternate, the variant of the Wide Vision. So for those of you who are kind of wondering where that gray Hyperspace came from, that's where it came from.
Yeah, and I personally am curious to see how the value on that card goes because, it was kind of strange to give basically the Wide Vision people an extra award card, and I see some people trying to float it in the trade feed saying, hey, I'll trade this black and white super special award card for vintage Boba Fett or, what have you, and I think it's kind of, a little silly that they basically got a free low count card to play with, but,
Right. But it's also, I wonder if each of those two kind of water each other down a little bit. It's, if I can't get the black and white, I can go with the regular one or something, and in essence making
true.
it like over 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I'd be happy to pick up either one at this point, but it won't happen. Nobody's going to trade that thing for a while. And then maybe somebody will give it to me for something stupid down the line. Maybe I'll pull something great, and they'll give me the 2 Hyperspace and Obi Wide Vision for the amazing card they only print 5 of, and I pull one.
Well, with how the value seems to decline, almost instantly in the week, the weeks after a card is released, I think that could certainly happen.
Yeah.
It depends how long you wait, though, because now I've gone back and I'm trying to pick up, just like, for example, I was posting today looking for, blue Jedi Strike Team, the most hated set of all time, and people would offer me, 1 blue Jedi Strike card and want 3 great inserts for it. I'd be like, come on, I know the count is low, but you don't like that card, and I know it. You're just trying to work me over. You should be giving me 3 of those for 1 of mine. They're garbage to you.
Yeah, those kind of have to come as sweeteners in trades when people just kind of have them, or you almost have to let those cards come to you.
That's usually how I operate. It's the same with greens and sometimes oranges, where somebody offers me a trade and it's a trade I would accept anyway, but I feel like I could probably squeeze a little more out of them, so then I fire back, also give me 1 of your greens, and almost always they're just like, who cares about a green? And they just send it to me, and I've pretty much gotten all my greens and oranges that way.
Yeah, that's a great strategy, and I'm actually using that with building a dupe GM set because I got another Ralph and figured, go ahead and build a second set. And really the way I've been doing it is I'll get a trade that I would normally accept and I counter and add in a couple of their, random Galactic Moments cards that they never really did anything with, that they just have sitting around. And I think sometimes they're happy to get them out of their collection.
Yeah, I think so too. It's always nice when you find somebody who just hates whatever the card is that you're looking for, and you hate what they're looking for, and you can just have a clear out. Here's all my garbage, and I'll take all the stuff you think is garbage, and everybody's happy. But that is so rare, it seems like.
Yeah. Oh, I have a trade that I'd like to talk about. I got one of my White Whale Holy Grail cards this week. A while back, somebody had offered me the purple Greedo, and everybody knows I love Greedo. And it's funny, I'm not even that big a Greedo fan, I just love Greedo imagery, I guess. And so I had to turn it down. It was just too much at the time. I was really trying to build all 6 all 6 marathons, and I was not sure at the time if I was going to be able to do it. And I think it involved a vintage that was like only a day old and other stuff. So ever since then, I kind of had been kicking myself for not taking that deal and thinking, I probably could have still gotten the marathons. And when I look back, it just looks like such a no-brainer now when I look at the cards that were offered. But anyways, I found someone who had 2, which is amazing because there's 30 of these things, and I was able to trade for it. And it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't like I had to go crazy. I think it was a mutually beneficial deal. It was a vintage Fett plus the commemorative Han and the commemorative Ben for the 30 count purple Greedo. And I'm psyched. It was, again, kind of tough giving up such a hot vintage card, but I couldn't turn it down again. I just couldn't do it. So I'm super psyched. And that was El Numero Uno, Boba Steve, who, when I just look at his name, it amazes me because he has a 100% force score, and he has like a shred of a hair under 5 stars. He basically has 5 full stars trader rating, like 2,000 trades. The guy is amazing. And, he hooked me up. So I'm really psyched. Thank you, Boba Steve.
That is awesome. It's always nice to find that one card you've been looking for. Especially something like that. You said there's only 30 of them. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah. Since recording last week, Open Window Time has been on a hunt for the low count purples. He's been seeking them. So if you ever have any questions and you want some advice about the values of low count purples, go talk to Open Window Time. He's an animal. He's been just tearing apart the purples, the low count purples. Those 222s are, I mean, those things, you can't give them away right now. And not even to mention the orange Obi-Wan that they had the glitch on, and he's at like 6,000. I want to get one just so people will stop offering that thing to me.
Oh, I hate when someone offers that to me. They'll offer me, like 1 Bespin and 8 orange Obi-Wans. Come on. Maybe if you just offered 1, if I didn't know, I would have thought that it was special. But when you offer 8 of something, it can't be too good.
I went ahead and used my patented tack-on strategy to grab one of those. And since I did, I haven't been getting any more offers on it. So I feel like that was a good little thing I added on there. Just to avoid the frustration.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
You can get one. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
you think those 222 count purples, which is madness. I mean, if you think about it, there's only 222 of each of those out there. Although I guess if you times that by 124 different purple cards, it sort of makes sense, I guess.
And I think the thing is that all of a sudden, and it's now been a couple of weeks, but all of a sudden, a bunch of people, 222 in fact, right, got 124 of these cards, right? So all of a sudden there's just tons of people who have these things and want to trade them. And they're flooding the market, and they're being offered constantly. So it just feels like they're just everywhere, and they're just so easy to get. So it's kind of hard to find people who want them because there's so many people giving them up.
Yeah, it's a shame. Although, if it wasn't for the Reddit pool, I wouldn't have gotten any of those. So I'm pretty happy about mine. I've slowly just let mine go for other inserts and stuff that I have wanted. And, I mean, considering I did 0 work to get them, all the golds I had were just the same thing, me tacking them onto a trade I would have accepted otherwise anyway. And then I had like 9 golds, and all of a sudden they announced they were doing that Reddit pool, and I was like, here's 9 for you. They ended up filling up like 4 of those vaults or something with the golds and getting all the purples. So hey, it was freebies to me.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about the frustration that I would say many of us have been dealing with in the fact that the fan feed just does not want to work, and our very own Bill, aka Lost Star Wars, figured out the error, I'm pretty sure, before Topps figured it out. Do you want to explain a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm not sure they didn't know about it before I figured it out, but I might have been one of the first to kind of pick up on it in terms of all of the fans, in terms of the Reddit community. So a little backstory is 2 days ago, the 26th, I was, let's see here. So I'm a teacher, and one of my students shows me his phone and says, "Hey, look at this." And it was, actually it was yesterday, right? So the student showed me his phone, and it was basically broken by a text message with some weird characters. It looked kind of like Arabic characters mixed with something else. I'm not sure what. And so that's in the back of my head. And we were chatting about it, and we were trying to troubleshoot that, and I kind of looked some things up and whatever. And that's in the back of my head. Meanwhile, the fan feed thing has been going on for about a day or so. I think it started Tuesday. And then I noticed that thing in the fan feed. I noticed that string of characters in the fan feed, and just kind of put two and two together and realized that I bet you this thing is crashing it. And it's only on iOS, which is the same thing with the iOS messaging, iMessage problem. And I just kind of did some digging around and found that string of characters is crashing iPhones, and Apple hasn't figured it out yet. They haven't released an update yet, and it has to do with the way the app processes these characters or something like that. So I actually direct messaged Steve Ciccarelli of Topps, and he never had gotten back to me. I did that first. That was the first thing. I wanted to see if he responded to that and give him a chance to respond and let me know if that's what they were on, if that helped or whatever. And then kind of giving him the option to say, hey, don't, just in case they don't want to have it spread around too much. And then kind of like when you have, people running onto the field in football and baseball games, they don't show it on TV because they don't want to have like imitators doing it for all the time. So I wasn't sure if they would want to do that. So I sent a direct message and I never really heard back. So then I posted it in response to somebody who had been responding to him and asking about the fan feed issues, and I posted it there. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to see what the Reddit community has to say about this, and I posted it in Reddit, and a lot of people responded to it. Some people were kind of skeptical if that's really the root of the cause. But Joe and I were going back and forth a lot last night and trying to kind of test it out. And so when it crashed, I would look it up on my Android. We would kind of make sure, like right when it crashed, I would check to see if there was one of those strings in there. And then I was looking and I found a point where there was nothing in there. There was none of those strings of characters in there, and it was working fine. And then it would crash, and then I would look, and it was there again. So it's got to have something to do with it.
Yeah, they somebody got a message back from Topps support confirming that it was a random or whatever string of characters in the text feed that was crashing everything. So as far as I'm concerned, you figured it out. I'm just going to go ahead and say the Trade Federation podcast figured it out before anybody else.
Definitely.
And I have solved this problem. Nobody will listen to me. I have to assume it can't be this simple because it's so simple. But in my mind,
this is genius.
All you have to do is take that string of characters and add it to the exceptions list where you store curse words, because if you try and type a swear word into the fan feed, it changes it to random symbols. So if somebody were to type this thing and it was on that list, it would just automatically change it to random symbols. That horrible stuff wouldn't display on anybody's screen, and presumably wouldn't be able to crash anybody's phone. Right?
I think so. I mean, unless there's a length limit or something. I do know that there's a few different versions of this thing. It's not exactly the same every time. I've noticed some variation. And if anybody wants to go take a look, you can find in the currently stickied post on Reddit, it's a post about the fan feed problems, and I actually put a link there to screenshots of the different people who are doing it. And I've chatted with some, and Bradford 9999 or whatever, he called someone out on it, and people are calling others out on it, and I was kind of wondering if it was accidental. You know how some people mistakenly post links and things that they have saved from their clipboard, they just kind of muscle memory it right into the fan feed. I was kind of wondering if these people had been kind of troubleshooting and trying to figure out what it was and then accidentally posted it. But there are some people admitting to doing it on purpose. And I got someone to admit it in a chat today in a one-to-one trade where I said, hey, what was that thing you posted? And he's like, oh, he was actually, let me see if I can bring it up. He was basically saying that someone sent it to me and it's supposed to crash your iPhone. And I was like, why did you post it in the feed? And he's like, for lols.
Nice. Did you grab a screen of that too? In fact, Bill's been taking pictures of people that he sees posting this. He goes on the Android, he grabs a picture, and I want to upload all of those to our Instagram. Like, we will shame these people into oblivion. I actually said on Reddit earlier, if everyone who posts this thing and we provide like solid evidence that they posted it on purpose, and a lot of them it's clear because then they post, haha, I just crashed everyone's phone or whatever over and over again in the feed. If all these people do not get banned, then my faith in this whole thing is gone. They have to be banned. It's absurd.
It is. And it's almost like an attack on the bottom line for Topps, you know? If people can't use their app, they're going to start drifting away. Especially the mid-level sort of newer users who aren't really that into it yet. If it's just like unusable and there's not a lot of fun to be had, then, you know, they're going to move on to something else.
Yeah, can you imagine somebody new who's just heard of this, they downloaded it in the past 2 days, and every time they touch the fan feed button it crashes? I would delete that app. I wouldn't even waste any time trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like apps, especially free apps or whatever, are a dime a dozen. This one feels like a hard sell anyway because there's no game to it, and the community in the feed, if you could get in there, is not always that great anyway, and it's kind of, you know, obtuse as to what you're even supposed to be doing or how the app works, and then to add crashing onto it, I mean, there's no way that people are sticking around for this if they're brand new.
I'm guessing that Apple will put out an update to iOS that will solve it at the root cause. It'll allow that string to exist without crashing things.
See, now you gotta wonder who was the first person who accidentally typed in that string of characters and managed to crash their friend's iPhone and then spread it through the world.
Right. It's gotta be on purpose.
Or a disgruntled Apple employee who, you know, put the ghost in the system there and now is exploiting it.
Could be a hacker trying to get
It's true.
Trying to get like name recognition or something. Maybe that's his name.
I like to assume that that was somebody's application to go work on the Android team. They were on iOS team. They needed to do something great to set themselves apart to get a high-level position over at Google, and this was their solution.
I'm kind of lucky. I have an Android phone, and I have an iPad that's still on iOS 7, and it works totally. I haven't had a single crash on iOS 7.
If you have an Android phone, you're not that lucky. No, I promise I'd keep my elitism to myself on the podcast. I don't mean it. I love Android people for the most part. I just like things simple. I like them to work. And also, I guess that doesn't apply here. Android's working fine. All the Android people are just swapping cards and having a merry old time while I'm miserable.
The Android people are all swapping their measly collections because they're all still relatively new compared to everybody else.
They got those art cards. They got those 2 Droid cards. Have they even released those for iOS yet? I so don't follow the art cards.
Yeah, they did come out. Mm-hmm. They were both in one pack, similar to the way it was, and it came out the same weekend as something else. It came out the same weekend as Yoda or something.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah, because you like predicted the end value of those, which reminds me of Bill Predicts, something we're going to have to do when we're done complaining about fan feed issues. So, any other random stuff that's happened this week that you guys want to mention or talk about?
I guess I wanted to quickly talk about a number of sets where originally there was no award mentioned, and then later on an award was added. And I wanted to give some advice that I started following really early on. I started following this when the Rebels cards originally there was no award announced. But at the time that award was announced, somebody had asked Topps, and Topps had said, "Hey, expect to be surprised sometimes." And I'm at the point now where I think you should just almost automatically assume that every single set is going to have an award. And you should kind of almost function that way because it's the majority of them have. So the only one that I can think of right now that didn't have an award was the commemoratives. Can you guys think of something else that didn't have an award?
No. Well, I mean, especially after this Luminary set, which I was convinced wouldn't have an award just because of the way the set worked, you know? I kind of thought that it was just going to be a little 24-hour game to try to get the top variant, but then all of a sudden they just now have come out and said that there will be an award if you collect all of the same color variants, which I found kind of shocking.
I actually was grabbing up Luke's when as soon as they released the Stormtrooper, and I knew that Luke was done and everybody was going to start unloading Luke's, I grabbed up. I was able to get two. I got two. I got one for a AT-AT driver, a red AT-AT driver, and I actually got the red AT-AT driver for a gray mint. I mean a gray what do you call it? Dark side, granite. So I mean I got a couple of those pretty cheap because I just assumed. I've just been following that and I just have assumed it. And I also had picked up a couple gold Cad Bane Firebrands, and you know that suddenly those have an award too. So I just kind of operated that way, and it's paid off for me. The cards that I got earlier on are increasing in value right now.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at this point. Like you say, I think everything is basically going to have an award, and for the most part, I mean, a lot of the awards for the side sets are just something where they're like, swap the colors. There's almost no reason to not have an award for some of these sets. I'm like, to be honest, I'm sort of kicking myself for bothering collecting Rebels and Rebels Empire, because I could have traded them for massive value at any point along the way. And those, like, I'm so bored by the variant award cards that we got for those.
Some people they don't really, I think the best way, if you're going to try to increase your trading power and the value that you have in your collection, it does not pay off to chase sets and to chase awards. It pays off to get the early cards in the set, to get the first card in the set, multiple copies of it, hang on to those until closer to the award, and then trade them away. And that's kind of what I'm doing with the Luminaries, the White Lukes, and the Firebrands, the gold Cad Banes.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good route to go for the most part. So, before we wrap up, which I need to do in a minute here anyway, Bill predicts. This is something I've been looking forward to since we came up with it 6 hours ago.
and 6 hours ago, when I came up with what I was going to predict, I was pretty confident, and now my prediction has already been shot down, I'm pretty sure. But I'm going to share my prediction with you anyways, because I shared it today on Reddit. My prediction had been that the White Luminary Luke would be more valuable than Vintage Fett. And I figured that would happen sometime next week. In about a week from now, maybe 5 days from now, I had a theory that would happen, and there are two reasons why. First of all, it's the first card in the set, and now it has an award. And second of all, and this is where it all fell apart, I really, really thought today's vintage was going to be 2,000 count, not 2,500. I thought that it was going to be lower, and I thought that it would challenge Fett and knock Fett back down to reality. And so I was actually offering it today to try to get a feel if I could get any hits, and then I would offer it again later on and see if it happened, and kind of just calibrate my expectations on the values of those two cards. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen now. But that's my prediction. I'm going to stick to it. That the white Luminary will equal the value of Vintage Fett.
That'll be a fun one to see.
It's not going to happen. I needed Vader to be less than Fett, and it's just not. It just didn't happen.
Oh well. Next week you will have another prediction, and you will probably be right. So far, if this one doesn't turn out to be right, you will still be like 9 for 10, I think, on
my record will be okay, I guess. Yeah. A lot of it's just luck, really.
So I think we got one more little thing Luke wants to touch on, and then we will wrap.
Yeah, so this is just something that I kind of noticed as someone who used to collect baseball cards. Obviously, with baseball and really all other sporting cards, the best cards are the best players. You'd never really trade, for example, a Willie Mays card for some no-name pitcher from the 80s. And the interesting thing is that phenomenon does not really carry over to the Star Wars cards, and you'll see that especially even with dead sets that aren't chasing awards anymore. A 1,000 count card of Luke is worth the same as a 1,000 count card of, insert random Star Wars character. And I just think that's really interesting. I didn't know if you guys had any thoughts on that.
That is an interesting thing. You've got some people who are partial to certain characters, like Bill talked about with Greedo or whatever. But a lot of the people, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Somebody like Bill or Open Window Time would be better to ask how these value equations come about or whatever.
Right.
But it sure seems like the average fan feed user, maybe not the average fan feed user, but I seem to run into a lot of people who know what the top 10 cards are, and that's all they want. They will trade everything for them, and I don't know if they just want to sell them or if they just want to say, I have the rarest card or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. As soon as people pull, like, what was it? Black Mint Yoda, the day that came out, it was like, Black Mint Yoda, I'll trade it for Vintage Han.
10
everybody. And so, I don't know. I think there are a handful of cards that people want, and they're those, for the most part, those early cards.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe as the app goes on and runs its course, because right now, there's no difference between a Mint Watto and, a Mint Chewbacca. And in terms of character relevance, Chewbacca is one of the most beloved characters in the Star Wars franchise, and Watto is kind of, I don't want to say, a smudge on the Star Wars franchise, but isn't exactly beloved. And I wonder if down the line people are going to say, hey, a Mint Chewbacca is worth 6 or 7 Mint Wattos, whereas now they're essentially the same value.
That'll be an interesting thing to watch. I wouldn't be too surprised. That sounds right to me. But then again, if somebody finds a way to track, like, oh, but there are more dead accounts with Chewbaccas in them and more active accounts with Wattos or whatever, well, we obviously want the one that's has less floating around. The other ones are dead, or I don't know. Who knows? Somehow people have decided that there are only 14 Vintage Hans out there or whatever.
Right.
So, and if you pull a good card, you want all 14 of them for it.
I made an estimation.
Did you?
On how many Vintage Hans there are.
Bill predicts round 2.
We'll never know the answer to this, but this is my estimation, and I'll explain my reasoning. Almost all of the awards are between they're a little under half. Almost all the awards are just around half or a little under half of the available cards out there. If you look at Hoth, if you look at Geonosis, if you look at a lot of them, you can't look at some of the lesser, some of the ones that people didn't really collect or like that much, but most of the awards, they're around half. They're a little under half. And there were 600 something awards in the vintages. So my estimation is that there's about 1,200 Vintage Hans in circulation, which and it might be more. I'm saying at least 1,200 are in circulation, which I think is a lot higher than some people assumed, you know?
That sounds like it's probably about right, especially when you take into consideration some of these guys who are sitting on 8 of them or whatever.
Right. I guess does that count as in circulation? I mean, they're active users, so kind of.
Right.
They're available, you know?
They could be traded. They probably won't. I assume most vintage Hans are being traded for one white 21B and 300 PayPal dollars, right?
And going on what Luke was saying, I think that down the road, although Watto is kind of a bad example because there's only 2,000 Wattos, and they haven't re-released mint packs, and I don't know if they're gonna. But let's just say Squidhead and Chewy, right, or something.
Yeah.
Which there's an equal amount of. Yeah, I think down the road, if more people aren't necessarily just trying to complete sets and if they're looking to complete their Chewy set, say, there might be Chewy collectors out there. Like I'm a Greedo collector. I completed my Greedo set the other day. Then yeah, I would say down the road at some point when some time has passed that will happen. And you'll see it. It's already happening with Geonosis a little bit. I would so much rather have the Clone Trooper than any other Geonosis. In fact, I was able to grab a gold Clone Trooper the other day, and it's just such a much cooler card, and that's more to do with visuals, and I love troopers in general, but yeah, so I think you'll see, the Clone Troopers, for example, be, even though they're equal, they're exactly equal to all the other Geonosis, you'll see the Clone Troopers be way hotter than anything else, just like Wampa is, although Wampa's rarer.
Yeah, that'll be a topic we have to revisit in 2 or 3 months and, see how it has turned out. Well, I think that's probably about all the time we have for this week, gents.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks again, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, first time. Luke, a little quiet, but will you come back on the show? I'm betting yes.
Oh, absolutely. I'll open up a little bit more with you guys next time.
Well, if we don't just talk over you the whole time, that'd probably help.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Luke. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for the awesome song. This song is killer.
So good. It's so good.
Maybe someday I'll get used to the weirdness of hearing myself start off a podcast, but right now it still feels strange. But yeah, I just enjoyed the opportunity.
Awesome.
It's dumb, but I have listened to just the intro of the last podcast 100 times. Just to hear it, and I'll walk around humming it. My wife just hates it.
So I'm famous. I'm famous with one person.
Yeah, you are.
That's good.
My wife
for me.
is infuriated that I just walk around humming something that has to do with myself, basically. But I'm okay with it. Well, anyway, are we? What is the plan, Bill? Are we kind of thinking that we're just going to have a revolving third chair, maybe forever?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we might want to go every other week or something, but if it continues to work out, and I think the sound was a lot better this week in terms of any sort of connection issues. If it continues to work, then yeah, I'm totally cool with a guest a week, you know?
Yeah. So, hey, anybody who wants to come on the show, or if you have questions or comments or anything, you can send the show an email, tradefederationpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter @TradeFedCast and follow us on Instagram for my hilarious fan feed pictures, if I can ever get back in the fan feed to take pictures, @TradeFederationPodcast on Instagram. And I think that is about it. Next week, contest, I'm thinking.
Yeah, perhaps. And I'd like to definitely get back to the emails and answering people's emails as well.
Definitely, yeah. People get in there and send us some. Even if it's just, some fluff or telling us how great we are. I'll read that. I'll read it twice. All right, gents. Thanks for joining me here this week.
Thank you.
Awesome. Everybody have a good one and happy trading.
Happy hunting.
When's the award? Has the deadline passed? Is this a fair trade? Oh no, my app just crashed. What is my card worth? And will the value last? You can find the answers on the Trade Federation podcast.